For the first time ever, the USDA has put lameness as a #1 priority on their animal health research funding program. Ruminoacidosis happens and disturbs the environment in the rumen. Stuff gets produced in the rumen, absorbed by the circulatory system, and then somehow that bad stuff goes into the hoof, and as a consequence, cows will develop sole ulcers and white line abscess or white line disease about 8 weeks after that. There's biological gradient where the thinner the distal cushion, the greater the likelihood of these cows developing sole ulcers and white line abscesses. Because you can intervene and then prevent lameness from happening on those high-risk cows. We'll come up with a tool that will attach to your management software, and then you're going to be able to come up to run this equation with these 3 variables and get a list of cows that are high risk for lameness in the subsequent lactation.
Why we should care about the angle of the hocks, why we should care about the rotation of the back. More room for the udder as the hocks are expanding. So more room, more comfort, hopefully more milk. I put together a few points looking into possible causes why the cow's time turn in cow hock. Is that they're trying to make themselves more comfortable by shifting away from the joints onto the muscles and tendons. So now, why the lateral claw is carrying more weight? As the cow walks, the way she walks, she has to put more weight on the outside claw. The housing and diet causes mechanical irritation to the outside claw, to the lateral claw, and that leads to enlargement itself, sets off the balance, leads to more irritation, and the irritation to enlargement, and might be one of the possible causes of some lesion. And step into this vicious cycle and break it by hoof trimming.
What do we mean when we say low stress cow handling? It's just getting cows to do what we want them to do without stress to the cow and to yourself. So cows are meant to be eaten, right? So that means they're a prey species. They have a fear of unknown. They're curious because if they're not curious, they can't see the lion that's going to eat them. They like to be safety in numbers and follow the leader, because if they're in a herd, they feel safe. So what do the cow need from us? They need to see us. They need to see us and where they're going. We're trying to lead them in a direction. So where the leaders usually stand when we're working with cows. At the front. You have to give cows time to adjust, because you have to remember their vision slows to focus. That's how you got to give them 7 seconds before you ask them to do something else.
Physical conformation of the animal's foot and that continual skin irritation due to ammonia concentration from the urine allows interdigital dermatitis and then allows digital dermatitis to infect the foot. So what we should see is this. We should see excellent hair flow between the cleft area, which is the top above the bones. This is where we're focusing, in this area here, not below. We want the open clefts, which allow for more airflow. It promotes skin health. You all know skin can't survive well without air. Conclusions from the data that we have on the primary study was that front feet holes seem to have 30% more cleft width than the rear feet, and that the interdigital and digital dermatitis infection risks are relative to the cleft space themselves.
It's like walking onto a farm saying, well, you should only have 2 cases of digital dermatitis today. Well, that might be a very unrealistic goal if we know the farm usually has 10. So by recording, we can start setting up some sort of goals, make a plan, and then monitor the stuff. So, okay, we had 3 cows with ulcers today. That's data. That's not useful information, that's data. So what we need to start with is what's the goal for recording, and why are we doing it, and who's going to use it. Okay? Because
in one study we did a number of years ago, the estimate for the cows with a locomotion score of 3 or greater that nothing could be found in the foot was 32%. So, for death or euthanasia in cows of unknown status was injury. How come there are injuries? Flat out accidents that are unpredictable and controlled, and after that something to do with decisions people have made, how they behave. There are other pre-existing conditions that contribute to lameness. Arthritis is surprisingly common in older cows. Dislocations, seldom anything dislocates in the forelimb. Hip joint dislocations and pelvic dislocations are both things that can happen in the rear. Tendon and ligament injuries are relatively common. Stifle, probably most injury that results in a really severe lameness, and shoulder injuries are a lot less common but very severe when they occur. And making our work more efficient, it also lessens the risk of the kind of injuries that can be problematic. So general handling, you have a layover, cow's head being supported is very much better for the cow than not. And similar for padding under the shoulder, not having cows struggle a lot when you're working on a front leg in the chute, and pulling the forelimb too far away from the axis of the body when working on the front foot. Scapular nerve can be bruised in a head catch, and the consequence of injury to that, or can similarly be injured by more at risk a skinny cow on her side on a hard surface. So the cow cannot, if that nerve is pinched and it's a temporary injury, the cow can't bring the leg forward very well because she has lost the control of the muscles that advance the leg. So they may stumble when they walk, and they might not be able to support weight very well. Well, this is just a bad illustration of a layover with no head support, and because of the possible struggling of the cow, she can particularly impinge on the branches of either the radial or the scapular nerve back there on the side of her neck, just in front of her shoulder, to do some damage. This cow is pretty quiet, but not all are. And if there's a head support, it reduces the risk of that happening. Same.
What they found was that there was a difference in milk production. There was a positive effect of trimming on milk production in the first lactation throughout the 305 standard lactation in the heifers in the fall. And the higher benefit was for the heifers that were housed afterwards in the tie stalls. So if you have quite a bit of disasters in some farmers, they don't have heifers get used to the concrete before they calve. And those are heifers, they come in, usually a heifer they calve anywhere between in like June, July. So those are the heifers that were exposed to really good spring grass, really heavy, rich spring grass. So the feed grew well a lot the last 3-4 weeks before calving.
And if they were not exposed to concrete, it's only they are exposed to concrete for 24 hours a day. If it's combined with poor ventilated barn or some issues with the cow comfort, it's related to troubles in this form. I think that's a mistake. I would definitely put rubber mats on the way down from the parlor where the cow's operating more of the heels. As you imagine, as she walks down, she's placing first the heel to the ground as she's slowing down, right, slowing down. So that's where the rubber mats have definitely application. But on the way up, don't put rubber mats because that's what is helping you to operate the toe.